There's more food available in the U.S. than ever before, but we're also throwing more food away. The amount of food Americans waste has been rising for decades, and that has serious environmental and economic consequences. We begin our food waste story at the end of the line, the landfill. You put it on the curb, it goes away, never to be seen again. Of course, it all goes somewhere. The good thing? It's taken away and you don't have to think about it or smell it again. The bad thing? If you don't have to think about it, you probably don't. But once you start digging into it, you find out what you throw away and where it goes does make a difference. There are those who do have your garbage on their minds. Jack Chappelle is one of them. He sorts garbage. States and cities hire Chappelle's consulting company to look through their trash and tell them what it's made of.
You want to know how long the landfill can last, what materials you can get out of it, what materials you can take out of the waste stream that makes the landfill last even longer.
Chappelle finds that a lot of what we throw away doesn't have to be. It could be recycled. Nationwide, more than 8 million tons of glass goes in the landfill, 24 million tons of cardboard and paper.
You still find an awful lot of bank statements and checks that people tear up, tin cans.
Then there's food.
In the country, you get more peelings, you get more vegetables. When you're in the city, you get a lot more fast food containers with half-eaten food in them, a lot more pizza boxes.
The Environmental Protection Agency estimates that nationally, about 20% of what goes into the landfill each year is food. Add all the food together from LA to New York, and America throws away nearly 35 million tons each year. 35 million tons. That's almost 100 Empire State Buildings made of food. Enough food goes uneaten in the United States in one day to feed the Denver metro area for 10 weeks. More than 2 million people could eat from New Year's to St. Patrick's Day.
We just have so much abundance of food that we don't realize the value of it.
Dan Nickey from the Iowa Waste Reduction Center works with businesses to cut back on what they throw away, including food. Nickey says waste happens at every level of the food chain.
You have food that is in warehouses that expires and they throw it away. Maybe they made a mistake and it doesn't have quite the flavoring they want. They don't want to sell it, so they throw it away. I think it's part of the culture today that compared to when our parents grew up, that, now we don't look as food necessarily as a resource. We just look as a given.
From farmers to consumers, fruits and vegetables make up a third of the food loss in the U.S. Dairy products cover another 20% of what goes uneaten. When you look at the amount of food going unused, the costs add up, environmentally and financially. First, let's look at the money.
40% of all the food in this country never makes it to the table, at a cost of $165 billion.
And that's just in the U.S. Globally, food losses add up to $750 billion. Behind those dollar signs is a significant environmental threat when food is buried in a landfill.
You're going to have a generation of methane gas. Methane gas is a greenhouse gas, which is a contributor to global warming.
As a greenhouse gas, methane is 20 to 25 times stronger than just carbon dioxide. One thing landfills are able to do is capture the methane before it escapes into the atmosphere. It's happening at hundreds of landfills across the country. The landfill in Lincoln, Nebraska started collecting methane gas in 2013 and sending it here to a generating station where the gas is now burned to make energy.
That pipe comes from the landfill. The landfill is located about 1.5 miles west of us. So after the gas gets processed and cleaned, then we compress it, we send it through the pipeline underground into the building and then into the engine. The average Nebraska home uses 1,000 kilowatt hours per month. And so in an hour, we can supply enough energy to run 3,200 typical Nebraska homes.
3,200 homes powered by gas from food and other organic waste. For Dan Nickey, that kind of system may be a good backup for food that's already underground, but it's not the solution to the problem, because food is still taking up valuable landfill space. And he says there are better things to do with the food we don't eat.
We need to stop thinking of it as a waste, okay? Even though it's maybe not used for its intended purpose, it's still not a waste because it still has value. It's only a waste if we put it in a landfill.
And that's the last place he says it should go.